That's it, guys. Now, wait for the grand opening real soon.
Hello and welcome to another day in paradise, and welcome to another edition of the Unapologetic Negropian. In today's video, many of you will be watching this video because you plan to move back to Africa, but not every diasporan is planning to move back to Africa, and some of you will be leaving the United States in order to go to other parts of the world. South America has the largest Afro-diasporan population, and many African Americans are planning to move there instead of moving to Africa. Some people even believe that moving to South America is a safer option than moving back to Africa. Well, one of those people that believed that the South American dream was better than the African dream was an African American man by the name of Timothyrevellereed, who was killed almost 2 weeks ago in Barranquilla in Colombia. He left the United States back in December in order to live his dreams in Colombia. He met his partner online who lived in Colombia. Like many people online, he used social media to document his story and to share his story to people who are planning to perhaps do the same thing. Because he has documented his journey so well, we are now able to take a look and see some of the mistakes that Timothy Revell made, which means his death wasn't in vain. We will now be able to share his experience and make sure that other people don't fall into the same trap as he did. So in today's video, we're going to break down some of the videos that he left on his YouTube channel. We're going to break down some of the videos which have been flying around social media for the past week now, and we're going to try and analyze them and see the mistakes that he made, and we're going to try and read body language as well, because I think that reading body language will tell us a lot more about what was going on in his head and what was going on in other people's head around him that you could see on the camera, to see if these people were genuine or whether they had ulterior motives. First, like always, I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, share, click the bell notification, and please consider supporting the channel on our Patreon, link in the description. Now guys, there is a trigger warning. I will be hypothesizing what could have happened. I know there's a lot of rumors flying around, so we're going to try and keep to the facts as much as possible. We need to take a look at how it happened. We need to hypothesize so we can better defend ourselves as and when you go to move to Barranquilla yourself or to another part of South America. But first of all, we're going to start off with the facts. Who was Timothyrevellereed? Timothyrevellereed was a 54-year-old African American man from the state of Georgia and flew directly to Colombia in December. He planned on starting up a business. Barranquilla is a small city some 40 miles northeast of Cartagena. Barranquilla is a great destination for most African diasporans simply because it sits right there in the Caribbean Sea. It's actually a stone throw away from Jamaica, my home country. So it was Timothyrevellereed's intention to stay in Colombia permanently with his girlfriend, and of course hopefully tie the knot someday with this woman that he met online. Timothy found the perfect spot and paid for his building and paid for his apartment and paid for a shop front, a former restaurant, in cash. He paid for it in cash, and that was it. Things were going very well for him. So where did Timothy go wrong? What did he do? Which kind of mistakes did he make? What should we do to make sure we don't end up in the same situation that Timothy found himself in? Now, a lot of you guys may be thinking, well, wait a minute, this was just a random stop on the street. I don't believe in just random stops in the street. If you're on a motorcycle and you have a helmet on, it's going to be very difficult for you to spot a small gold chain like what Timothy was wearing that day. And he was wearing it probably inside of his shirt, because on every one of his videos you can see this small chain that he's wearing it, and he's wearing it inside of his shirt. I don't think he comes across as being the type of bling blingy show off type person in the first place. I struggle to believe that this was just a coincidence, that it was just a random robbing and he ended up getting murdered for it. How many people get robbed every single day but they don't get murdered over it? Something cries foul when I hear people say that he was showing off his gold chain and he was bawling and all of a sudden, you know, he got robbed and yeah, well, it's his fault. We're going to go into this and we're going to try and pick out some of the mistakes that he made, because it's going to help us. And I think he would have wanted that. So one of the first mistakes I think he made was by trusting a woman that he had met on the internet. Now, for many people, this arrangement works. You see many people who have girlfriends from perhaps Thailand or from some other far-flung part of the world, and those girls are rarely with those men for their looks or for their charm. But this guy is a good-looking dude, okay? He had children. He seemed like he was a genuinely good guy who was looking to escape the drama that is in the United States and start a new life. The vast majority of the times there are ulterior motives, okay? And we don't know what these ulterior motives are all the time. There can be just a woman looking for a partner who will help them financially, or it could be a woman who is trying to drag you into some sort of conspiracy to steal all your money. Okay, so you don't know this. I think he should have had less trust for this woman. We're going to go into the way she acts towards the end of the video, because there is something very striking on one video which kind of tells me that this woman was hiding something. I think the way that Timothy Revell conducted his business was quite irresponsible, if I need to be honest with you. And I think in hindsight, he would probably say the same thing if he were alive today. Hindsight is 2020, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, because he may not have known about the climate in Barranquilla, but it's not the best place in the world to live at this moment. In fact,
National Police, our Army and our Navy act in strict compliance with the law.
There is a lot of lawlessness that is happening right now in Colombia. It's not the best place to be in. There's a lot of Venezuelan immigrants there at this present moment who are very desperate, who were desperate in the first place. They moved to Colombia because they were desperate, and all of a sudden now you have the riots, you have the violence, and you have COVID all happening at the same time in Colombia. It's not a good place. It wasn't a good place to start with anyway. So going there with that amount of money and being quite liberal with it, okay? I looked at the properties that he was buying. $250,000 US can buy you something much, much better than that in Colombia. I'm not sure how he found this building. I'm not sure whether it was his wife that actually found the building. It would be interesting to see how it was found. I want you guys to take a listen to this video. Take a listen to the way she sort of is speaking to the men who he's buying this property off, the property owner. So he's there, he's buying this property and they're talking together. It seems quite informal. That's another mistake I think he made, but we'll go into that after this. Take a listen to this and let me know if there's anything about this video that sort of sticks out for you.
Is that when I go up on the rent or no, I'll wait?
Wait.
Okay.
Con esa firma de esos contratos que...
De esa sesión de contrato, porque no es contrato.
Esa sesión is just like he's passing it to you.
Okay.
He's not giving you are not making no contract. He's just passing it to
This is
you.
the other check.
Es otro cheque.
I'm recording everything because I'm documenting doing a YouTube video.
Entonces ahí tienes su cheque. Entonces ya está completo el pago.
I want to shake hands with you. You should be getting on my. We finally got the deal done. It's very stressful, but thank God we got it done.
So the first thing I did, I turned off the volume, right? I turned off the volume and just took a look at the faces and took a look at the eyes from behind the masks. There's something eerie going on behind those masks. There's something, I don't know, hostile about the faces that I'm seeing in this video. Okay, he's videoing a transaction and that might seem a bit weird to these guys. They might find it, I don't know, a bit disrespectful. But when someone's coming up to you offering to buy your place with 250 big ones, which is probably an inflated price in the first place, then you wouldn't care about somebody videoing a transaction like that. It would have been much, much safer for him to have employed somebody to have taken care of his business there for him, an established, well-known agency of some kind to have worked for him. Yeah, they would have taken 5%, but it doesn't matter. Employing a dedicated agent, perhaps even a US-based agent that deals with foreign property, would have saved him a lot of time and hassle for himself. Sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture. Look at how many times you are going to that country, how much money you're spending to go to that country, how much it's going to cost for you to stay there and everything else. Put all that money together and ask yourself, wait a minute, I could have just gone and paid for an agency with this money, and they would have taken care of all this hassle, leaving me to be able to make the money in the first place, so I could have made myself more money and stopped all the hassle for myself. Sometimes these agents do pay dividends, so in some cases it's better to bite the bullet and just pay for an agent. It could have saved this gentleman's life. Traveling alone. A lot of us guys don't mind traveling alone to these places. We're not women. That's what we say to ourselves. We can take it, we can do whatever we need to do. We're not going to get messed around with. But sometimes having another dude next to you, just one other guy next to you, can make a hell of a lot of difference. I have traveled around the world by myself. I've traveled to South America by myself. I traveled to Ecuador by myself. I actually traveled to the border region with Colombia by myself as well. Very dangerous part of the world, by the way, might I add. The border with Ecuador and Colombia. So I've traveled all these areas. I went to Caracas as well in Venezuela many years ago, and I took my girlfriend there. It was a situation which I wouldn't want to really repeat, if I need to be honest with you. I felt very much out of place. I felt like I was sticking out like a sore thumb because, I don't know, everyone was staring at us. It was not a ideal environment in order to take your wife to and just stroll around the street. Caracas in Venezuela was bad, and we're talking about 15 years ago. So now it'd be much, much worse. Guys, we are talking about a part of the world where life has no value, okay? They will take your life for 30 bucks. They will do it. And they will feel more empowered to do so because of the color of your skin. It doesn't cost that much, and it could save your life in the long run. And it doesn't make you any less of a man to do that. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. Just make sure that you're able to put yourself in a position where you are mitigating risk as much as possible. Self-preservation is key when you're in that situation, right? So just think about the long term, okay? Don't just think about making sure you get there to take care of business there and then, and let that cloud your mind and cloud your judgment. Watching these videos of Timothyrevellereed, it almost brings me to tears. It really does. I feel for him and I feel for his family, because you're sitting there, you're listening to this man, and he sounds so excited. He must have worked his ass off in order to collect that money together so he could go there and live his dream. And you can tell that he's there, he's right on the cusp of making it out, only to have his life snatched away from him by a bunch of greedy kids. I just cannot, you know, I mean, this is part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, you know, to make the people aware of the things that are happening in the world and aware of the mistakes that people are making, okay? It's okay for us to talk about these mistakes. If I made a mistake, I wouldn't mind somebody talking about it to make sure somebody else didn't make that mistake, especially somebody else in my community. For us to collect all this information, to disseminate it, and also apply it in our own lives to make sure that we can mitigate as much of the risk as possible. In part of the video, he talks about the guy not trusting him and him not trusting the guy, but that's normal. That's completely normal. And if you look at the actual transaction, you can see when the guy is actually doing the business, he has about 3 or 4 guys around him. He has backup there. That's the sensible thing to do. He was doing it fine because you couldn't steal the building from this man. He owned the building, okay? You couldn't steal the building from him. Only thing you brought with you was the camera on your phone and YouTube, okay? He said he was filming this transaction in order to keep him safe. But how would have that video have kept him safe? It wouldn't have kept him safe, okay? And ultimately, as you could see, it didn't. Literally days after that video was taken, Timothy Reed was gunned down in broad daylight by 2 assailants on a motorcycle. Now we've come to the point in the video where I'm going to give you my 2 cents, and I think it's very important that we do give our opinions on social media. It's important that we take it all in, but it's important for us to be respectful as well, okay, to a certain degree. And I'll try and respect timothyrevelreed, but at the same time, there are questions that need to be asked of his partner, okay? I believe that this was a setup. It seems like an obvious setup at first, to be honest with you. A lot of people have said it was a setup, but they don't really have much insight. They don't really know why. They just know that, hey, it's a woman from South America, from an impoverished background, from an impoverished country, okay, and she's there and she's in contact with an African-American gentleman who has some money to his name. He wants to buy this, he wants to buy that, he wants to live there, okay. He obviously told her to come down, and he gets gunned down after he's bought that building. Now, allow me to explain before you guys start jumping the gun saying that I'm being evil for saying that it's this woman's fault. I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm saying that we need to start asking ourselves these uncomfortable questions. Where was she? Why did it seem like she couldn't do much in order to help Timothy Reed at that time? Not even at the time when he was being shot, but at the time where Timothy was buying the building. He said that he was struggling with the language barrier. He shouldn't have been struggling with it. He was communicating with his partner, a partner who I am assuming is Colombian and can speak Spanish. So where was she? Why couldn't she have helped out a lot more? Another thing is the way the guys are looking at him in the deal when he's actually there signing these paperwork over and signing the money over. There is something about the way they are looking at him. They're looking at him like he's bait. I know that look because I've seen that look before. They're looking at him like he's dinner or something. Now, this last video, I must tell you and I must warn you, it is a graphic video, but I need to show you something. It's very important that you see this. This is the main reason why I believe something is going on with his partner. Take a look at this video. There are certain things that a person can easily imitate, you know, that I can easily pretend to cry. But the real emotions that you see when you're crying or when you're angry, you know, those are completely different when you are actually crying as opposed to pretending when you're crying, okay? So when you see her in this picture, she looks like she's shouting, she looks like she's gesticulating, she looks genuinely upset. But there's no tears. There's no tears in her eyes, okay? There's a lot of noise coming from her, but no genuine emotion. She looks like she's acting. I know it sounds strange, and please leave a comment in the comment section if you think that I'm talking total rubbish, but look at the video. Look at her. It looks like she is acting. So I wouldn't be surprised if that building is going to get signed over to her. Why wouldn't it be? What were their marital status? We don't know what their marital status was. We don't know whether if she was cohabitating with this gentleman in this building and he passes away, does she automatically get that building? We don't know. And this is what I need to find out. So I'm going to do some digging and try and find out how the legal framework happens in Colombia when somebody passes away, when a foreign citizen passes away in their country who owns property in that country. It would be interesting to know, because I just feel like there's too much of a coincidence that this man was gunned down in the middle of the street for a chain, because guys get robbed every single day in Colombia. They don't get gunned down. They don't shoot people because they're not stupid enough to do that. Normally, showing the gun is enough to take whatever you need to take, and if you get caught, you get done for robbery. That's it. You don't get done for murder. That's a big step. It's a massive escalation from a robbery to a murder. Two totally different kettles of fish. Right, so for me, there is just something, and there are a lot of unanswered questions, but I think his partner will need to be investigated as well. We are talking about Colombia. There is a lot of bad things happening down there at this moment. You got to remember that the American government does have agents on the ground in Colombia, and they do have immunity from prosecution. I'm not sure whether you guys knew that, but they still have immunity from prosecution. Colombian government, of course, they know this. They brought them in there on purpose to help with these cartels, and once the American government, the agents came in, they never left. They're still there working for the American government. So there is enough firepower there for the American government to do something, to find these people who are responsible, these two kids, and hopefully they will. They need to look into the people who told them to do it, because I don't believe that it was just an opportunist event. So guys, we're going to sum things up. If you're going to travel to South America to do business, bring someone with you. If you're going to travel to South America to do some legal business, bring somebody with you who has that legal background. Have the legal framework, have the legal backup next to you at all times. You shouldn't have to read any of these contracts. You should have somebody there, a legal representative or an agent, a proper agent who is there just for you, not somebody who's just there as an intermediary. You need a proper agent who is there working on your behalf in order to make sure that all the paperwork goes through and that your best interests are heard first. Don't trust women over the internet that you've met over the internet. Don't just do that. You cannot trust people on the internet. I cannot believe I'm actually saying this. I'm still telling people this. You can't trust people over the internet. There are too many people out there who are too desperate in these times right now, and they will rob you blind and walk away, and they will get away with it. You are not in any position to be doing business by yourself in those countries. Even if you are a big, strong, black American guy, don't do it. So guys, now it's your turn. Tell me what you think about my hypothesis. Do you think that he was somehow framed by the people that owned the building, perhaps by his wife? Do you feel that there is something more going on beneath the scenes, something that we're not seeing? Do you think it's more than just a random opportunist event? Please let me know in the comment section. It'd be really good to hear what your thoughts are on this. So guys, that's it from me for today. I'd like to give a thank you to you for watching. I'd like to give an extra special thank you to my Patreon subscribers, and I will see you in the next one. Until the next time, guys, think twice. To our bit.